Welcome to the Adapting Places podcast. Uh, this one is going to be about the preparation for a conference I'm going to. I'm actually on the way there now. I decided to go to Barcelona, where the International Place Branding Association conference is going to be starting on Wednesday on train. So off from Bristol, stopped in London, where the rules changed due to the pandemic. They required a test, so I missed my train, but I knew it was going to be a part of the whole thing because I haven't traveled for a while. Though I just wanted to take the time and visit a few places if I'm going to be going to a conference talking about place. So helps to reflect and prepare as well, especially because I've been getting tired with work. Actually, the day job as a user experience researcher has been getting quite busy, and the closing of the year normally gets everybody try and squeeze more work before the year has finished, and I don't like that feeling. I think it's just a false sense of trying to squeeze things through and the perfect storm for poor decision making. So I took the time off to enjoy the conference and also prepare. So I've got Paris yesterday and today, then I'm gonna go through Lyon and then Barcelona, where I booked the days of the conference, but also 2 days after. And then I'm actually traveling to Bulgaria to go back home for a proper holiday, because I do love this academic holiday. The idea that I'm going to go to a conference is like a dream come true. But I do need a proper break as well and see family. So I'm going to use this to kind of think through some of the ideas that I'm going to present at the conference, and so that I can also point people to this podcast that want to hear my thoughts in a bit more detail, because at the conference I'm just going to have a few minutes to present some of the work, and I normally feel like that then doesn't showcase my ideas in the best possible way. It's not like I'm a misunderstood genius, but just can only squeeze this much into a short talk. So I've entered all of the disciplines in the conference, being the decathlon athlete of academic thinking that I am, or just an indecisive person that doesn't want to commit to one research project. So there is the doctoral colloquium, because I'm still a PhD researcher, kind of in the fifth year of 6 years part-time. I'm just starting. Then they've got some parallel sessions where we'll be presenting papers. I've got a working paper together with my supervisor that is a part of the broader PhD and a research program. And then I've also entered the art gallery, because this conference, being about place and the community around it, just has such varied interests. And it's lovely when I've been to that one, like before I even started my PhD, I was covering for the Place Brand Observer website. I remember seeing the gallery and I was like, what? Scientists want to talk about art, but why would they? And once you dig deep into what place is all about, then you realize it's difficult to just capture everything into our academic papers that we must be discussing. So if it doesn't fit into the realms of your traditional science, then so we still have to discuss it. If it's happening in reality and we have to use other means, that's fine. So actually, let's start with the art gallery because it's the most fun just to warm up. I've got this piece in that's not me really. I'm presenting a project from Bristol where I moved last year, 2 years ago now. Can't remember, with the pandemic time it's just gone weird. But it's a project called People's Platform. It's a digital augmented reality art work project that popped up in the spot where there used to be a statue of a notable person from Bristol, Colston, Edward Colston, who was also a slave owner. So what I found through this project is Colston's kind of image as this benefactor and entrepreneur and all of that, those values, was actually created as a bit of myth after the fact, 100 years after his death. And it's interesting for me because when I used to work in Shrewsbury, a place where Charles Darwin was born, I used to do a festival in the name of Charles Darwin and use that kind of, personality of someone that's born in a place in order to promote values that I thought were important in the place. So it was about kind of curiosity and independent thinking. And I guess the commercial enterprise and going and doing stuff was probably important for the history of Bristol. But now the citizens of Bristol had been complaining about that statue, and at the end of the day they chose to take it down and throw it into the harbor. And for me, the project itself was very much intertwined with my own personal life. So it really touches on the themes of how the kind of science that I'm into can't be this separated out objective stance, while not being political, right? For me, what happened was that I've been trying to convince my wife to move to Bristol for a long time because I could tell that every time I was there, I just felt good and like I would fit in. As younger kids would say, the vibe was good. And obviously, we're trying to unmask what's behind such a vibe in place management and place branding oftentimes. What is it in the DNA of a place that has a good vibe? And by the way, I'm now next to the Louvre on the river and gone down. Wow, pretty good, I'll be honest. I underestimated how nice Paris would be just because I didn't want to live the tourist experience, but my god, the streets are amazing and the coffee. But anyway, I'll get distracted. So yeah, I've been meaning to move to Bristol, and it was the day when it was actually a few days before the statue got torn down. I was living in Shrewsbury. We were getting out of the lockdown from the pandemic, and I was in a park and seeing everybody get together with their friends after being locked away for a long time. And I was alone, and I noticed that, I kind of knew it. Most of the people that I'd befriended there had moved on because they weren't locals. They were people that had come from outside, much like myself. I tried to integrate into Shrewsbury very much so because I was actually working for the town, for a local business improvement district, running the local festival. But it just never worked out that way. And it's not, some places are just not that open to others. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, I felt alienated there so many times, even though I loved it. and by now I'm, convinced it wasn't anything from me, because I kept saying the same stuff, I kept thinking the same stuff, I kept doing the same stuff, and yet it just wasn't landing. So, one can only be this introspective. It's nothing with the people that want to live a great life there. It's actually one of the loveliest places you could visit. But that's the thing, it's nice. I want to live there, whereas I was trying to, I kind of knew that if I continued living there, then I wouldn't move away. It would just be too nice, but then I won't have the chance to accomplish anything meaningful, just because my work relies on being connected with other people, being where they are, and as much as we're supposed to be living in a digital world where we can reach others, and that's true partially, but still there's going to be places where there's going to be more stuff happening. And I felt like Bristol was like that, but my wife just wasn't on board because she had become attached to Shrewsbury, much like myself. But I've had that realization before because I've moved, where even if you're committed and you have an attachment to a place, at one point when it's no longer serving your well-being, like kind of just have to move on. For me, actually, it's something that I now need to unlearn because I feel like it's become a solution for many things, so I don't want to run away, right? But Bristol, I felt like, was a place where I'd want to go. It's a bit hippie, if you want to call it. It's, the green people are there, and it was my commitment until 2030 at least to become part of the movement to help. I'm just trying to avoid the word solve, just avoid climate catastrophe by steering the bigger ships away. So that's why I'm working, as a researcher for contracting into the Department for the Environment in the UK. But anyway, that's by the by. The focus on Bristol was then interesting how it played out, with the Colston statue. I was trying to convince my wife for years, and then we were in that same park, the park where I felt alone, and she was it was another day, and she basically showed me a video of people tearing down the statue. And if there ever was an iconic moment, I think that's one of them, because it's interesting how it's also kind of pierced through the consciousness of the globe, because all of the marketing spent of the city of Bristol, all of the tourism investment, and all of the place marketing, I don't want to see then the comparison to tearing down a statue versus place marketing, which one delivers more engagement. That would be an interesting one. So is place branding about just positive images then? That's interesting to think about. But yeah, she basically said as soon as she saw that video, she's like, yep, we need to go there. And I think that's how it's related to this artwork is, I don't care about the debate that's just pulling wool over our eyes about the importance of statues and all that stuff. It's more that in that city, when people want to do something, they go and do it. I'm surrounded by people that believe that they're going to do something and they can go ahead and they're empowered to do it. Whereas in some places you have this other people are stopping me to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not empowered. So Bristol's like that. And the artwork was basically there is this cargo collective of, I don't know if they're artists, what everybody does. There's poets, but they launched it, and I just stumbled onto it as soon as we'd moved to Bristol and the statue had been torn down. They were asking people to contribute to the art project with ideas for augmented reality statues that would be visible for people on their smartphones at the plinth where the Colston statue used to be. I submitted an idea and I I got my piece in, but the broader project is very interesting because its tagline is it's kind of see what you want to see, which is actually, you know, I want to also be a bit critical here because it's dangerous, right? Are we gonna have Big Ben deniers one day if we're able to see what we want to see in a place? But you know, it's taking it to an extreme maybe. Yeah, so there's multiple statues. Mine was called The Moment. It has a splash of water because being interested in place and how place is basically a moment in time. And that moment in time of the statue being thrown into the harbor of Bristol, whichever way it gets interpreted later in history, sure, that would happen. But it's undeniable that that was a moment in history. It's a historic moment. And just being there, I get chills now. So that's the artwork. I'm supposed to talk about it at the conference. Well, it's a QR code, right? I have the images of my piece, but also there's like other community-generated ideas, like Stevie's I think a 9-year-old that wanted a statue of a bear that used to be put in the bear pit, which is an area of Bristol that, you know, used to have its own statue made by people. It wasn't like an official statue. I think it's made out of wood. It's iconic, but then the council took it down and they basically made the place a bit hygienic, which did probably remove some of the criminal activity from there as well. So like, let's not paint too good of a picture. But that's the art piece. Then there's my PhD project for the doctoral colloquium, which I'll cover in another part so that I can kind of keep the same focus rather than keep waffling on from one theme onto another. And I'm gonna keep walking the streets of Paris